Tim, we're now en route to the beautiful Moor Abbey.
Thanks very much, Stephen. Well, on the road actually from the Moor Abbey, it turns, when you come to the village, it turns to the left and climbs over the top of the hill. And we're standing on that road now about 150 yards up on the side of the hill. And right to our left, as you look practically completely left, you'll see in the distance are two of the windmills charging on the top of Slieve Reek. And the valley actually starts there and moves down along underneath us here, down from the hill here and into the valley and on by the Galty mountains. And it runs completely along that. We're going over long ways over Tuscane, County Tipperary. We're actually now in County Tipperary. When we came to the Moor Abbey itself is in County Tipperary. But that's just a view of the outline of where the village is. It's more to the right back there because it doesn't stand out, because the village itself is down in a hollow and it's very well sheltered. So we're looking out at the Galties, and again on the right hand side is the peak, the Champlain Peak, which we have mentioned already, and it's called Temple Hill in English, but it was the site of, going back in pagan times, in the middle of the summer they used to hold a festival or celebration of what they're on the peak of Temple Hill. And in the valley just come down is just under where the forests are on the left of it is the stream coming down called the Asarula, and it's one of the main streams that come down into the valley and feeds into the river below, which will be quite near when we get down to the Abbey. It turns further back and goes completely east as well, and follows over and goes into the river Suir. And the rest of the hill mountain, looking along over a good bit on it, you can see two peaks pointing up from where one of the peaks of the Galties starts to slope down. At the back of it are two peaks pointing up, and one of them is Galty Moor. On the right hand side is the highest inland peak in Ireland, about 3,014 feet, converted to metres. I'm not into metres. And the Galties continue further over, and eventually at the far end of them, you'll be in Cahir and running into Cahir in County Tipperary.
So I think it's fair to say, Tim, the one that you're saying over on the extreme left is down into Cahir, Skeheenarinky, down around that area. Yeah. And over then, I might even just point it over this way, where my hand is just pointing over there. Well, then you're looking at the Anglesborough-Kilbehenny area.
Right, and down at the bottom of that valley over there in Anglesborough is one of the old homes of the Masseys, they were planters here after Cromwell, and they owned a huge lot of the land here, and their main place was in Deerpack, which is back here on the right hand side, on the side of the hill there where you can see the forestry. Down on the far side of that was their main home when they came to Ireland, and they were planted by Cromwell at the time because they were soldiers that fought with him. But one of their last remaining houses is up there in Anglesborough, and it's owned by the Hanley family, and it's over about 250 years old, the house is at this stage.
All right, Tim, we'll now head down to the Moor Abbey. Tim, we're here now, right outside the Moor Abbey. You're going to give us a brief history of it, but first of all, you have a lovely little booklet here.
Yes, Stephen, it's called the Moor Abbey Galbally, and it's a small little booklet. The funny part of it was, I'll just quote from the start of it. The idea of this booklet of the Moor Abbey was inspired by the Galbally Tidy Towns Committee and their success in making the village the pride of Limerick and the Shannonside area. I dedicate this history to them in appreciation of the wonderful job they have done in improving the surrounds of the Moor Abbey. And that was written by my brother, who joined the Franciscan priest, and when he joined, they normally took a name of some saint, but he took the name of Diarmuid, who was one of the martyrs in the Moor Abbey. And actually, it's just about 6 weeks ago that my brother died at the age of 93, but this is a great memory for him. And that's why we have a particular interest in the Moor Abbey.
Now, Tim,
Well, We're right in front of the Moor Abbey now. The road behind us is coming straight from the village of Galty, and it branches off to the right, going over towards the Glen of Arlo. We have come down on the road on the left-hand side. We're looking at the main front of the Abbey, and you'll notice that the entrance part of it was built up during our time with the Tidy Towns at the very beginning. We got involved with the OPW, the Board of Works, and workers came, I think from that time they came from Kanturk. We also got a good donation from the Franciscan Friars in Kilkenny to help us to do anything around the Abbey. The Abbey, of course, like all churches, is running from from west to east, and the altar in the front will be facing east. The dimensions of the Abbey is about 13 metres wide, and it's about 410 yards long. It's not as long as the Abbey in the graveyard, which we'll be talking about later.
Tim, talk to me about this beautiful plaque that we have here on the entrance.
Right in front of the Abbey now, there's 3 or 4 different plaques. Some of them put up by the OPW, the Board of Works, but this one was put up in the last 12 months by the Galty Tidy Towns, and Jim Cousin put a lot of work into it, and it reads the legend of the Moor Abbey, and it was a poem written by Hannah Conn Cleary, and it describes in poetry what actually happened, and describes about the martyrdom of the 3 Franciscans that were killed in the Abbey.
Now, Tim, we're just going to have a look inside.
Yeah, Stephen, we're just coming in through the main entrance of the Abbey and coming into the main building, the main part of the Abbey. And this was the main part of it here, where the locals used to come to Mass. This was all laid out. The upper part of it was where the altar and the church, the main part of the church was. And the Abbey is very thick walls on it. And it was...
The wall now, Tim, must be about 3 or 4 feet wide.
For about 4 feet, 3 or 4 feet wide, yeah. It was excavated about 1960, later than 60, 1973 or 74. And the architect was with the Board of Works. And she described that there was a kind of a history that another church preceded the Abbey and was here on the same site, but she said they did a lot of excavation, and a lot of the local lads were involved in working on a scheme to excavate the foundations and whatnot of the Abbey. But she said that they found no trace of a previous Abbey. That might have been only just a church, a timber wall church or mud wall cabin of a church. That's the front window now of the Abbey, facing exactly east. And on the left-hand side is a tomb. So
I was going to ask you about those tombs. So you may explain about the tomb itself.
Well, the tomb, when they excavated, actually was right in the centre. Just here, where we just a second, Stephen, you just put the camera here on this bit. You'll notice that the sign of the Abbey was burnt when the monks were up on the top. They set fire to the Abbey, and you can see where the rocks were cracked and whatnot. But when they excavated it, they found a number of bodies here, and the tradition was that when the priest, the head was cut off him, that no blood flowed. And that tradition has come down to us. Even though they cut the head off him, no blood flowed from his body. And the other 2 brothers were martyred with him as well.
Jesus.
And so that's the main part of the church. And probably one of the friars was buried here. But a lot of the excavation took place outside here on the northern side. And just over there, beyond that entrance, near the wall, I think it was Neddy Cronin was on the scheme at the time, they found a beautiful cross with a body buried there.
Where did that cross go afterwards?
That cross is above in the museum, but we have a photograph. We might be able to get the photograph at some stage.
Is it identified as being coming from the Moor Abbey?
That's coming from the Moor Abbey, and she said it was probably a penal cross, but that was one of the main things they found was there. But there is a plan of the Abbey that it extended. There was on this side here, it extended north, and they had the dormitory overhead, and then they had their factory up here, and they had a place where they used to walk around that was open on this side. So the Abbey was much bigger than what it is at this stage. And in my memory there was a big rocks sticking out in the quarry there, which was limestone. So there's a lot of this is mainly limestone that's on it. There's a odd bit of sandstone on it here and there, but the main rock that's on it is limestone. And a lot of it was probably excavated here just on site, on north of the Abbey.
I just see my aunt's house is only just the nearest house really to it. That's Peggy Cleary's
Stephen
house.
is saying that, well, Stephen O'Donnell, well, I'm delighted Stephen is with us, because with the Tidy Towns, his mother Betty and his father Tom were the two pioneers with us very early in the Tidy Towns when we started at the beginning. So Stephen is saying that his
my aunt's
your
house
aunt
up
was
there,
lived in the
Peggy Cleary, yeah, she was
Peggy
only
Cleary.
just up
She
there.
lived in that
Her
house up
grandson
there.
Patrick Brown is in that house now.
Patrick
Tim,
Brown.
there's fantastic history really in the Moor Abbey, isn't there?
Just one other thing I meant to say. Just above where those trees are, or maybe just above them, in the August 1915, there was a big training camp of the volunteers.
Just up
where,
there, yeah.
where people high up in the volunteer movement came here for a full week in August in 1915, and they had a big training camp here for the full week before they were training to get ready for the Rising and the War of Independence. So there's that angle to the Moor Abbey as well.
Tim, as well you know, as well as I do, we're right on the border of Limerick and Tipperary. Tell me about maybe the green area just over there at the back of where that car has just passed there now. And what council? Is it Limerick or Tipperary?
This is the Tipperary County Council, and at that stage there was just those heavy stones were there to keep out travellers that used to pull in, and when there was an open drain right coming down through the middle of both parks and down, and with the help of Tipperary County Council and the other thing they have done in the last 12 months, they have tarmacked our small park up here, which was put there by the Tidy Towns as well, and the stonework was done by lads on the social employment scheme. And Stephen mentioned the border, so we might as well mention the border now. Right down here where the bridge is, on the valley, running under that bridge is the border between, and we're actually in Tipperary, and the green field you see beyond is in County Limerick.
Just heading up there.
Just heading up there, and if you go back less than a quarter mile back there, you'll hit the border as well, going into the old streets. So this section around here is actually in County Tipperary. But we have great the people involved in County Council in Tipperary Town, the engineers especially, has been very, very helpful to us. We have nothing only praise from the cooperation we're getting from the County Council in Tipperary as well.
Tim, it's a wonderful history of the Moor Abbey. Fantastic and well done.
Thank you very much, Stephen. We're delighted because, as I said earlier on, it not alone is of interest, general interest, but it's a family interest to us. And what I'm looking at now is looking practically straight west, and those cars that approach there coming in have come through the village of Galty and are heading over into the Glen of Aherlow.